Hey there, it's Mike Cooch again. Thank you for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to go over this assets over agency concept in more detail and walk you through the 7 major asset opportunities that I've seen in this marketplace here over the last roughly 5 to 10 years of being in this business. And if you are in currently the agency business, or however you describe it, if you are providing any sort of marketing type services to smaller businesses in particular, this is going to be a very, very valuable concept and a very valuable opportunity for you to make your business more profitable, more scalable, and honestly just to make your life easier and more enjoyable. The reason why I know this, I have been selling to small businesses my entire career. I've been an entrepreneur now for coming up on 20 years. And I have sold to small businesses that entire time, doing at the very beginning, cold calls and knocking on doors, to doing now, selling to small businesses through, Facebook ad campaigns and emails and webinars and all that good stuff, and everything in between. I've covered IT services, marketing agency services, software services. I have provided and sold all of those to small businesses over the course of my career. So what I'm going to share with you is not something that just came to me overnight here. This is something that has really shaped my entire career. And I believe that if you're selling to small businesses, if you're not doing it in the way that I'm describing to you with this assets over agency concept, you're going to be caught in what I call the cycle of doom. Okay, the cycle of doom is where you put in all this effort to sell to small businesses, and then they just can't afford to pay you a lot of money. They just simply can't. The economics are not there. They're small businesses. But they still are very demanding, right? They still want lots of attention. They still want you to hold their hand. And if you let them, they are going to demand custom services. They're going to demand your attention. And it will absolutely break your business. And the challenge that I have for you, anybody that wants to argue that, is show me anybody that has built a big, good-sized, healthy business selling to smaller companies that was in any way some sort of custom professional service. And you won't find anybody, I can promise you, because I've studied this market inside and out, and every single business that has sold into the SMB marketplace, that has built something of decent size and decent profits, is doing what I'm going to share with you here in this video, this assets over agency concept, okay? So if you've got in your mind, again, that you are an agency, I hope that you keep an open mind and let me just kind of challenge the concept of what is typically considered an agency, okay? Most people I know, when they think of agency, they are doing some sort of custom services for their clients. And that works really well if you're selling to the Fortune 1000 and they have massive budget that they'll spend on marketing, that you can build a really nice, profitable firm. And if you look at the big agency world, there are a lot of really good, profitable firms. Look at the small business marketplace and look at any agencies serving them. And maybe you build into a 20-person company or a 30-person company or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but I've been there and I know that the owner of that business does not really have the life that maybe you think that they have. Just because they have a 20 or 30 person company, you may see that as a sign of success, but that person is scraping and clawing to make payroll every month, and it is a real challenge to get ahead and stay ahead and build some sort of asset that is valuable. I know, because I've been there and I've also been on the other side of it, all right? This conversation always reminds me of a quote from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he essentially says, when a business with a bad reputation comes into contact with a management team with a good reputation, it's usually the business that leaves with its reputation intact. Okay, Warren Buffett's such an amazingly brilliant man and has a way of saying things so simply and so powerfully. And what he's saying is that, bad businesses and bad business models almost always win over good management teams, over people who have lots of experience, who are really smart, who are out there hustling and trying to work their tails off. That if you're just in a business with a bad model and bad economic structures and bad service structures and things like that, you're almost sure to lose. You're almost sure to lose because it doesn't matter how much you hustle and how smart you are. If the structure of the business is just bad, it makes it really hard to win. He also says that you don't get any extra credit points in business. And what he's talking about is you don't get anything extra at the end of the day just because you worked harder than the next person. And the point he's making is go into businesses where the economics and the structure of the business are on your side. Go into businesses where you naturally have some sort of defensible position and you're building a strong asset, rather than doing things where that's not the case, because you don't get any extra credit for the hard work. So one of the reasons that Warren Buffett is so brilliant is that he very thoughtfully makes decisions about the types of business that he puts his money into. He actually doesn't put his money into very many. He puts them into businesses where he says, you know what, this has some sort of structure, some sort of economic advantage, some sort of competitive advantage that makes my money safe and makes it very likely that even if the management team isn't the most brilliant, group of geniuses and doesn't execute perfectly, my money is still going to get more valuable in this business. As entrepreneurs, that's what we should all be looking for. We don't get any extra credit for working hard. Okay, so when you are taking care of clients, small business clients, and you're providing any sort of custom service, you are working hard, and I guarantee you're not getting any extra credit. The thing is that it's actually a harder model to operate as well. Okay, when you're doing client services, not only are you not getting paid real well, but you're working harder. You're more stressed. You're jumping through hoops to make them happy without any upside. So the assets over agency model is all about finding the structures, finding the models that give you the ability to scale, to be more profitable, to do it with less of your personal time invested, to do it with less of any sort of demands for custom services. And ultimately, you will build a much more valuable asset that you can eventually sell by doing that, because you are developing a business that is attractive to other people. Okay, when you build a business that's all about custom services and it's all about your ability to handhold clients and stuff like that, even when you get it to a good size, let's say you grow that to a $5 million a year business, the reality is that as a buyer of that, I look at that and I go, oof, I'm not really sure that I want to buy into that, because look at how hard that guy's having to work, and look at the custom services he's providing, and look at the personality that he has to bring to that business to make it work. I'm not sure that I can reproduce that. I'm not sure that I can maintain that. And so the price that I'm willing to pay for that business goes way, way, way down. Versus if you've got some business where, things are just being done in a pretty automated way, or it takes a bunch of lower paid employees to do it and they don't have to have any specific knowledge or skill sets. It's all very process driven. There's a big, broad customer base, so that if any one customer goes away, it's not, really destroying the business. Now that's something I can buy into as an investor, and I can feel real good about that my money is going to be safe, just like Warren Buffett. So that's a lead in here, just because I want to make sure that you were really sold on this concept. It is so important, and it's been a game changer in my business. So let's just dive into them here. So I said in my first email that there are seven asset over agency models that I found that have been proven to be very successful. The first one is productized services. Okay, productized services. This is the one that I think is closest to what you consider the agency model. Okay, I'm providing, let's say, a Facebook ad management service to my clients. When I say productized services, though, what I mean is that you can take those services and you can put them into very discrete packages at very discrete price points, with a very clear list of here's what's included in the service and a very clear list of here's what's not included in the service. And by doing that, you can take any customization of those services completely off the table. Okay? And can you take them completely off the table? Maybe not. But what you can do is you can really, really minimize the impact of anybody demanding any sort of customized services by saying, hey, look, this is set, and anything outside of that is extra pay. If you're asking me to do anything outside of that, it's extra pay. And small businesses tend to say, oh, all of a sudden, it's not that important. I don't want to pay more money for it, right? So by having productized services where it's very clear deliverables, very clear what's not included, and set price points, you can create this product concept instead of a agency service, instead of a custom service concept. And just by positioning your products and services that way and selling them that way, you start off the relationship and the expectations of that client in a totally different way than if you start off with, I am a customized service, I'm an agency service, I'm a professional service, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn your business, okay? That may seem like the smart move to make when you're trying to earn that business because you think that that's what they want to hear, is that I'm willing to do anything. It's exactly the opposite though in terms of the long-term impact on your business. And it honestly makes you look more like an amateur because anybody that's been in business for a while knows that you can't run your business that way. You can't be, and I'm going to bend over backwards for every client at the price points that small businesses are willing to pay. Your business will not work that way. Perfect examples of this. I've done this a couple times in my business, in my career really, really well. First one, and the most visible one for me and most successful one, I had a business called Everon Technology Services. It was an IT services company. When I got into that business, it was an hourly service business. The entire industry was doing these kind of emergency hourly calls out to small businesses. It was known as a break-fix industry. So when something broke, you drive out, you fix it, you charge them $125 an hour. Nobody knew how long you were going to be there, what it was going to take. So you just go out there and bill like crazy. It was a horrible model, horrible for the business, for the IT service provider because they couldn't scale, and horrible for the clients because they didn't want to call and get help for their technology because it was like calling a lawyer. They knew that the tab was just going to start running. I took that business, I created very discrete packages at set price points, and I said, hey, we will, proactively support your computers for this. We'll make sure your data is backed up for this. We'll make sure your network is secure for this. Put them all together. There's your monthly fee. It's a set monthly fee. You can call me as much as you want, and we're never going to charge you more. That totally changed the dynamics of the relationship with the client, where now they had a set budget. I had recurring revenue. I had very clear, here's what's included and here's what's not included. And if it went outside of that, then I did charge them more. But generally they knew, hey, exactly, here's what I'm getting. And if I demand anything custom, then I'm going to pay extra. And because of that, of course, the custom demands went way, 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 way down at my business. And I had a totally different relationship with my clients. I was able to scale that business into the multiple millions of dollars and sell it for multiple millions of dollars because of the model that we had created. A second example of that I've done, I have a newsletter service that I've offered for years and years and years, a content service. Some of you may actually be customers of that. It's generated me tens of thousands of dollars every single month for years and years and years. I don't do anything. It's all managed by just a handful of people that are very simply able to create that content and get it out to our customers. I don't have to touch it. It's a very nice example of a productized service where I could be offering customized content services for those businesses, but I'm not. I've created a nice, tight little low price package, and it works really, really well. Okay, so those are two examples of productized services. The second example, asset over agency example, is something I'm doing right now, and that's media. Okay, media. So if you look at the way businesses spend their advertising dollars, the far majority of it is not on agency services. It's not on custom services. It's actually on media, right? Buying ads on Facebook, buying ads in newspapers and magazines and on radio and on television. It's a product. It's an advertising product that the far majority of dollars get spent on. It's actually a very small percentage of dollars that actually get spent on any sort of agency services. So the reason for that is a couple. One, it's tangible. I can see my ad running. I can see that media property has a specific audience, and I want to get in front of that audience. So it's easy for me as a customer to understand what I'm buying. There's an ad, there's a full page ad in that newspaper. It's going to reach that many people. I know that their audience, it's the Wall Street Journal, it's business readers. And I know that I have to pay, X amount of dollars to have that run to get that exposure. It's easy to understand. So because of that, from a buyer's perspective, I know what I'm getting, and anytime I know what I'm getting, I'm going to spend my money more confidently there. Now, from a service provider's perspective, which maybe you haven't traditionally thought of media as a service provider, but I absolutely do. From a service provider's perspective, it is a dramatically easier and better sale for me to sell advertising on my media property than it is to try and sell some sort of custom services. It's just simpler. You can see my media property, you can understand who my audience is, you can see the type of content that I produce, and I can very easily tell you, here's the advertising opportunities and how much it costs. Now, the brilliant thing about building your own media, is that you're building an asset. Okay, media is a very, very valuable asset. If you have the attention of an audience every day, it's incredibly powerful. So what are examples of this working with smaller businesses in a local market? Well, I have a local kind of city site here in San Diego, and I have the ability pretty darn easily to scale that out to other cities. That's in the future, but right now I'm focused on San Diego. That's a website. I've got a newsletter list associated with that, and I've got social media properties associated with that, all with audiences that are verifiable audiences that my customers can see, and they can understand the impact of my reach. And because I am producing my media every day and I'm out there sharing content in the market every day, I have all these businesses that see that are coming to me. They're contacting me and saying, hey, I saw your article on X, Y, and Z. How much would it cost me to advertise in that or to have coverage of my business like that? So I am building a tangible asset in my market. I am still going out and offering marketing services to those clients, just like an agency is offering marketing services. But mine is based around an asset. It's based around an asset, something tangible, something that its value is increasing every day as I bring on more and more advertisers and as I bring on more and more readers or viewers of my content. So that's what I'm pursuing right now. One of the things that I'm doing with my businesses that I absolutely love. I'm a huge fan of the model. If you think about your local radio station, your local television station, your local newspaper, magazines, whatever it is, those are all examples of media where they've got that brand. You know what they are. You know the value of them, and I'm sure you can understand the asset that's there, how valuable that is to the business owner. Number 3 is lead generation sites, local lead generation sites. So this is another great example of you're offering a service that the business wants. The business ultimately wants more customers. The closest thing that you can get them to more customers is more qualified leads. So you can do that by offering customized services. You can create Facebook ad campaigns and run Facebook ad campaigns for them where you're managing their account and you're managing their ad spend and all that good stuff. Or if you're focused on chiropractors, dentists, moving companies, contractors, whatever it is, you can set up your own network of lead generation sites and then just sell those leads to businesses. That is dramatically more valuable and simpler than doing custom lead generation for each and every one of those businesses. Okay, if instead of building their assets, which is what you're doing if you're managing their campaigns for them, you build your own assets, you build your own lead generation sites, and then you just sell those leads to businesses. But now you're building your asset instead of their asset, and now you've got something that's so easy to manage and control. If a customer stops paying you, you cut off the leads to them, and then you just transfer the leads to another business that you've sold to. Instead of starting over, from scratch with a new client and having to take over their accounts and try and manage their assets, you're again just managing your own assets and selling those leads off to businesses. Much more attractive model. Number 4 is direct mail campaigns. And specifically what I'm referring to here is think about the Valpaks of the world, right? These coupon mailer businesses, they've been around forever. They're now owned by a private equity firm in LA. I can tell you from experience, the only reason private equity firms buy companies is because they can make a whole lot of money from them. Valpak has been around forever, just mailing out a simple envelope of coupons to businesses. In our industry now, there's a handful of resources that are really good at this. Bob Ross in particular has fantastic postcard mailing systems and other direct mail systems. If you build up your own brand, again, around that mailer, just like Valpak has. So instead of just doing custom mailers for a particular client, you build your own brand of mailers and you sell spots in those mailers. You've now built an asset. You've built an asset with your own customer base. You've built an asset with your own brand that people now expect to see your coupons, your mailers in their direct mail or in their mailbox. It's a very established model. It's been around forever and it works very, very well. Next, industry-specific sales funnels. This one is absolutely taking off. This is the one where right now when people see agencies that they think are doing really, really well, this is actually typically what they're doing. There's several friends I know in the agency space right now that are killing it, particularly servicing gym owners is a market right now where they're doing really, really well, where they're not really actually doing custom agency services though. What they've done is they've designed a sales process, a sales funnel that they know works really, really well. And for each client that signs up with them for a set monthly fee, typically, they're essentially just taking this entire sales funnel and plunking it down and putting it in place at their clients. It's the same sales process over and over again. They do some minor customization of the branding and the logo and all that type of stuff, but the process they own. They own and they just take that thing and they set it down with their clients and then let it run. That is a dramatically, again, more attractive model than trying to create a custom sales process for each and every client, right? If you're working with different industries every day and different size of clients every day and all that stuff, then you have to create something custom for them. But if you focus on a vertical industry and you say, I'm going to design and optimize a single sales process that I'm constantly testing, constantly tweaking, constantly learning from all of my clients to make sure that everybody has the best updated sales system, you've built an asset. You've built an asset that's very, very attractive and very profitable. And there are some businesses that are doing really well, but they're not doing customized services. They're not agencies per se. They've taken a sales system and they're renting that sales system out to each of their clients. One of the best examples I've ever seen of this that proves that this model can work at a very large scale is the law offices of James Sokolov. If you're not familiar with them, he's a lawyer based out of Boston, has national marketing campaigns going on though for legal services, and he is no longer a practicing lawyer because what he realized was he had a marketing system to get legal clients that absolutely was crushing the competition. So what he did is he went around to every major market in the United States, found lawyers and said, hey, look, you pay me X and I will just deliver to you clients. And because of my marketing system, you will become a dominant lawyer in the market. And he has done very, very, very well with that model. I'm not sure the exact numbers anymore. Last I heard it was over $100 million a year in revenue, just renting out his sales process around the country. So very attractive model, much more of an asset again than trying to create custom sales systems for each and every business that you're working with. Software-based services is number 6. This is actually probably the most successful model in selling to small businesses. If you look at, Microsoft is a great example. They built, huge client base of small businesses by selling them reasonably priced software. QuickBooks is a great example, right? They've developed this accounting software that they're selling to small businesses. That's, software itself, but then there's also software-based services. Payroll processing is a great example of this. Every small business needs payroll. Well, payroll used to be done by bookkeepers, very manual, and you're paying them, a salary to do it. The payroll processing firms came along and said, hey, look, we automated it with software. You pay us a monthly fee or a percentage of payroll every month, and we will process the payroll for you. But it's now based on software, very, very attractive business model that's done very well. Merchant processing is a good one, a good example of that as well. Credit card processing, that type of thing. But maybe a more practical example for somebody in the agency world is a business like Demandforce. Demandforce grew from 0 to $100 million plus very, very quickly. And what they had was just a text-based reminder system for businesses that have appointments. So if you were a salon or a chiropractor or anything like that, they just had a text messaging based platform that they went and sold on a subscription basis to small businesses and said, hey, look, you are relying on people showing up for their appointments, but you don't have an automated reminder system. We'll put in this automated reminder system. By doing it, you're going to have a 30% improvement in your appointment show up, which means it's going to more than pay for the subscription that you're paying for our service. Like I said, they grew into a $100 million plus business very, very quickly. Ended up selling to somebody, actually I think to QuickBooks, to Intuit, for a whole lot of money, several $100 million. But the reputation software space it's a fantastic example of this. There's some lead generation stuff that's a fantastic example of this. Support software can be a great model for this. So there's a variety of software-based services that are very attractive. As I'm sure you know, if you can build anything based on software, it's a very attractive business model. You can have very strong exits because as a buyer, I know your software will run and I can buy into that. Okay, the last one, number 7, is your business itself. Okay, and this is the most important concept to understand about all this, is that as an entrepreneur, by far and away the most valuable asset that you're ever going to create in your life, it's not your home, it's not anything like that. As an entrepreneur, if you do well at all, it is the asset value of your business. Okay, and if you think from day one about how should I build my business to maximize that asset value, because no matter how much income you make at your business over the years, by far the most valuable thing that's going to happen to you is to eventually be able to sell that business for a good chunk of money. But if you don't build your business from day one trying to optimize that asset value, you're going to find that when it comes to the point where you want to sell, it's going to be much harder than you planned. It's going to take much longer time, and you're probably going to get a much, much, much lower valuation than you could if you were deliberate about building your business the right way. My IT services business that I exited is a perfect example. I built that business around process and structure and recurring revenue and set price points from day one. And because of that, I was able to get a multiple of a couple of times revenue when I sold that business, versus the average in my industry is to get more like a quarter or a third of their revenue. So if you're doing $1 million in sales, you might get $250,000 as a purchase price. Whereas if I was doing $1 million in sales, I was getting 2 or 3 million in my sale price, because of the way that I structured the business was a much more reliable, process-driven business that a buyer could look at and go, okay, I can run that and I can make it work. So if you build your business from day one with that in mind, with I am building an asset, I'm building a house, how can I make this house as attractive as possible so that when I want to get out and move to another house, I know all the buyers that the broker comes and show my house are all going to be excited to live here. It's going to have a really nice kitchen. It's going to have really nice bathrooms. It's going to have a beautiful landscaped yard, because I know that that's how I'm going to get the value out of it. It's the same concept at your business. All 6 of the asset over agency concepts that I shared with you there will build a much more attractive asset out of your overall business than doing any sort of customized services will. So by focusing on one or a couple of those 6 to begin with, you are at number 7 building your business to be a more valuable asset from day one. Again, that is, I think, the most important concept that small entrepreneurs can understand, is that you've got to treat your business like your most valuable asset and think about every day, how am I designing my model so that it's going to be very attractive to a buyer one day, so that I can exit, and I can exit in a big way that will make all of this hard work worth it. Because honestly, you could get paid a nice salary at any other type of business. If you go and just focus on that and do real well, you're not going to get the exit, but you can get a real nice salary and get benefits and get stability and all that type of stuff. As an entrepreneur, you've taken on a lot of risk. You've got to make sure that that risk is worthwhile, and the way that you do that is by having that exit at the end. So The entrepreneurs that I know that have focused on that, they're the guys that you see that are rich, right? They're the guys that have sold their business, made a lot of money, have that really nice lifestyle. It's because of the asset at the end. It's not because of their income along the way. All right, so that is seven really important concepts and really important examples of this whole assets over agency model. Stay tuned in your email. I will send you this video as well in your email, and I'm also going to send you some specific examples of companies in each of these areas that are doing this really, really well, okay? I hope that this helps you. I hope that this serves you, maybe gives you a little bit of a different model in your mind about how you should approach your business. If you do, you are going to have a much more valuable opportunity, and you're also going to have, like I said, just a better opportunity and more profitable, more scalable, easier to run, where you can have a lifestyle that you're not just chasing down every client and chasing down their customized demands every hour of your day. I promise you, you don't want to get involved in that. So focus on assets over agency, focus on these 7 models. And like I said, stay tuned in your inbox. I'll send you some specific examples of these models that I know are really solid and work really well. All right, take care.